article in the Wall Street Journal claims that the shift to the right in this election reveals that Americans view themselves as belonging to a particular economic class more than their race and gender. And Bill Maher said it's the only thing Democrats got wrong. Take a look.
Someone must tell the usual suspects on the far left that the saying is, when you're in a hole, stop digging. You just lost a crazy contest to an actual crazy. What a shocker that the people who see everything through the lens of race and sex, their election loss as a result of racism and sexism. Yes, if only we weren't so irredeemably unenlightened, we would have elected a black president by now. We had asked if racism is built into our society. White progressives agreed with that at higher levels than black and Hispanic people. They don't want your pity. And black people can't afford to indulge rich white people's need to endlessly flagellate themselves. They just want prices to go down and good jobs and the police when you call them.
Well, if right, then why didn't people vote for the former prosecutor who had policy plans to help the class? I mean,
I'll tell you why, Whoopi. Because she couldn't articulate them properly. In the beginning, every time you asked her about a policy, she just gave you a bunch of word salad. And pretty much that's what she pretty much did until the end. She just gave you a bunch of word salad, or just a bunch of repeated answers that she said in previous interviews.
Again, I got my popcorn. I don't know why people did what they did. I see all these reasons, and so okay, time will tell. But what do y'all think?
I just, I know that country, it's very difficult to believe that racism, they're just alive and well. I think that we don't want to think that about ourselves, our neighbors, our friends. But it's my lived experience tells me that it does still exist, even if your lived experience doesn't tell you that it exists. And, the facts support that. I think we have a graph. If you look at there's a clear racial divide in who voted for Trump as opposed to.
Those are not even the real numbers, y'all. Those are not even the real numbers. I don't know where that's some motherfucking graph that she done made up.
To who voted for Kamala Harris. It's very clear. It's not only clear by race, but it's also clear by education. And so the notion somehow that is not just by education. Those who attended college voted for her at a higher degree than those that didn't.
But I've said that.
Let me just finish. And so I've said that before, and there was so much backlash because I think it's an uncomfortable, inconvenient truth about this country.
But his whole point is they didn't vote for him because of racism.
Well, Sonny, Joe Biden got better numbers in 2020 than Kamala Harris. So that right there pretty much undercuts your argument. I mean, I find it funny. You have people on this panel. They don't go out and talk to people. They don't go out on the street and talk to people and find out their concerns, but you tell them why they voted for them. You tell people that they're racist and misogynist because they didn't vote like you. But how can you say that when you don't go out there and talk to the people? Maybe, just maybe, Kamala Harris, she was just a bad candidate. I've said this in previous videos. She was a bad candidate. She was very incompetent. Even in her past, she really did. Kamala Harris never really got nothing accomplished. Sonny? Kamala Harris, she has a terrible track record. Even the first time she tried to run for president, she was the first one that got bumped out. What are you talking about, Sonny? Kamala Harris was a terrible candidate. She was not good. She wasn't articulate. She didn't have any charisma. She had to get spoon-fed her information. You had to hold her hand the whole way. She couldn't talk without a damn teleprompter. What are you talking about, Sonny? What, like, once again, y'all, it's like these women living in a some kind of Twilight universe where just reality is just forbidden. These women are not living in reality.
And misogyny. They voted for him because they felt like, I think the biggest common denominator in this election is people want a good life and ability to provide for their family. And whether we agree or not with Donald Trump's plans, they thought that he was reflective.
One of the poorest demographics in this country, but they voted for Kamala Harris.
But there was a split and more of them voted.
Yeah, just shut the fuck up, Sonny. That's a lie. I mean, of course, black people did vote for Kamala Harris, but a very significant number voted for Donald Trump. It wasn't as much as Kamala Harris, but a very significant number voted for Donald Trump this go around. Why can't y'all just accept that? I mean, Sunny Hostin, she is just so delusional. I don't see how they can just. Once again, guys, this woman is married. I said in the previous video, this woman is married, and I'm shocked. I'm shocked that this woman is married. Seriously. She's very delusional. She's very over opinionated. She doesn't listen. Well, she listens to respond, not to take in. And all she ever wants to talk about is how racist America is and bashing Donald Trump and misogyny. That's all she ever wants to talk about.
For Donald Trump than had historically. I think that there's such a desire. If you really think the vast majority of this country voted because of racism and misogyny, you're missing it. Most of my family, a lot of my family doesn't have college degrees.
But the stats are the stats.
But that's not.
Well, those are not the real stats, Sonny. Get the fuck out of here with that. And not all of that. Let's say those stats. Let's say that those were the real stats. That doesn't mean all those people on there were misogynists and racist, Sonny. How can you say that? How can you say a very subjective statement like that? Because you don't know. You haven't been around talking to these people. You don't go out to the street and talk to these people and find out what their concerns are. Sonny?
It doesn't say I'm white. I voted for Donald Trump because of racism. That's not. Let me just ask. What stat are you talking about?
Let me
yes, you can.
Hold on. Calm down, everybody.
Alyssa Griffin is getting frustrated because she knows that Sunny Hostin doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. I mean, pretty much these women, they have no clue what they're talking about. This is a terrible show.
Everybody just take a breath. Take a breath.
Well,
take a beat.
Well, let me jump in here because I think, Sonny, what you say is valid. And I think that is part of the problem. But when we hang our hat on that's the only problem or the main
saying it's the only.
I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying.
Well, you're not saying it's the only. Well, you're saying that, but that's the only thing that you're talking about, though. Because if you don't think that that's the only problem, then why you not talking about the other problems? Because you don't want to hold the Democrats accountable. Because she's already said that she don't think the Democrats made any mistakes. I can give you a goddamn laundry list of mistakes that they've made right now.
Saying the backlash is that when people hang their hat on that being the only reason, any criticism of Vice President Harris must be because she's a woman or she's black. I voted for, thank you. I voted for Hillary Clinton, not because she was a woman qualified. I voted for Vice President Kamala Harris because more of my value in line with what she stood for. So all of that can be true. There is something here to the socioeconomic class, though, that is crossing racial divide in academic and education, too. Americans with a college degree 30 years ago were roughly 20% of the population and held the same percentage of household wealth as those with a degree. Yeah. 30 years later, this is important, Americans with a college degree account for 38% and 63% of the household wealth. The haves and the have-nots have gone so far apart that they are rising up right now, and they cross every line of our democracy.
Okay, can I? So look,
Go ahead.
I can tell that she's a moderate liberal, or a moderate Democrat, however you want to say it, because she kind of injects common sense into the conversation. I don't agree with everything that she says, but sometimes she does make good. She does make sense.
I think most people are not saying that it was all about sexism and it was all about racism, right?
Well, once again, that's the only thing that y'all are talking about, though. That's the only thing that y'all are blaming it on. Because if it's not, then what are the other problems then? Why won't you talk about that? Every day, these women get on here and talk about sexism, misogyny, and racism. That's all they ever talk about. Every day, literally.
Most people are not saying that. I would say to Bill Maher, who I like, whose show I've been on several times, that maybe, just maybe, when you live life as a woman and as a woman of color, you feel it and you know it a little bit more than a white man does in America. And so I'm not saying.
Here we go with the victim limits, y'all. Here we go with the victim mindset. Trust me, these women, if you listen to these women long enough, you'll have that victim mindset too. Everybody in that motherfucking crowd that's sitting there cheering that bullshit on, trust me, they probably have the victim mindset.
You know, he says that folks see everything through the lens of racism and sexism. Not everything, but if you're not seeing racism and sexism in America, then you need to clean your lens. Because, you know, so this is something that I also.
Do we have sexism in America? Absolutely. Do we have racism in America? Absolutely. Do we have a little bit of misogyny in America? Absolutely. But but guess what? It wouldn't be enough to offset the election. All the misogynist, racism, and sexist men wouldn't offset this election. Kamala Harris, she would have still lost. She lost overwhelmingly. Seriously. She lost by a goddamn landslide. Once again, she got washed. So let's say there was sexism, misogyny, and racism. Once again, it still wouldn't be enough to offset the election. Kamala Harris would have lost anyway. Damn near 80% of the country voted for Donald Trump. That's a damn statement. We don't want you. And you know, you see these people on the left, they always want to talk about bullying and being picked on. They're the ones, they're the bullies. If you really think about it, they're trying to force feed you something that you don't want. All this old transgender shit. Boys going to girls' bathrooms and men playing women's sports, and we don't want that. No, we don't want that. Stop trying to force feed us this bullshit. We don't want that. That's the real bullying.
Also find interesting that when Democrats and liberals talk about race or sexism, it's immediately labeled as identity politics, which has a negative connotation. It's a term that Republicans have coined, and it's been very effective. But when Donald Trump goes to Miami and Cubans, that's not identity politics. Donald Trump goes to Dearborn, Michigan, and promises Arabs something. That's not identity politics. When he goes to Jews and promises them the opposite, that's not identity.
Shut the fuck up, Anna Navarro. What she just said didn't make any sense. That's called going to meet people where they're at. That's what you're supposed to do when you're trying to get shit done. You go meet people where they're at. That's not identity politics. Like, she don't even know what that didn't even make any sense what she just said. She don't even know what she's talking about. That's what a true leader does when they trying to get shit done. They go meet people where they're at.
So I think it's important that we remember 2/3 of this country does not have a 4-year degree. And in fact, 38% who do live 9 years longer than those who don't. Something is happening in this country. It's a lot of my family who don't have 4-year degrees. They may not even have associate's degrees, who they're working harder than they ever have. They have multiple jobs and they can't get ahead. So Kamala Harris had this great thing about $25,000 for first home buyers. That is aspirational, beyond aspirational for a lot of this country. They don't have the credit. They don't have the money to match the other $25,000. This is a real.
But see, what Kamala Harris won't tell you is they still have to get approved for that $25,000. That's what she's not telling you.
Divide here. And when they're told, you know what, we do care about border security, not because we're xenophobic, but because the country is paying more money to house and to help those people.
Then why are the Republicans against giving people a living wage? Why is the Republican Party constantly against?
I'm generally for a minimum wage, but a lot of these folks at small businesses, not the big corporations, are smart enough to know if there's 50 people at my shop and they raise the minimum wage, a lot of us are losing our jobs. They get that. They don't want to hand out ahead.
No,
that's facts. And Sunny Hostin, she knows this. I mean, she knows this. If you own a small business, right, and you got like 30 people and you have to raise the minimum wage, you have to raise the minimum wage to that goddamn $20, you're gonna downsize. Probably half of those people are gonna get cut. Sunny Hostin, she knows this. Because that's the only way the business will stay afloat. I mean, like, seriously, these women, they know this.
And nobody wants a handout. That's why when people started talking about welfare years ago, it's like you weren't talking to people who were on welfare. Yeah. Nobody wants to be on welfare. Yeah. Nobody wants to be down. Everybody wants a leg up. We all want to do better for our families. Mm-hmm. There's not a person, black, white, male, female, who doesn't want that for the family. I like what you said, because I things differently. I hear.
Yeah, and that's why you're unmarried. All right, yo, that's enough of that. Because from here on out, it's just a bunch of work. It's just a bunch of word salad. So let me know what you think in the comments, man. This your boy MAZ. Like and subscribe. I love y'all and I appreciate y'all. I'm out.